Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grimflayer, and I hope you're all doing very well today. I'm back in the saddle. Feels good. Feels good. It's been a little bit too long for my liking since we made a video in general, much less since we played a league, but we are going to, for the first time ever on this channel, feature some live recorded competitive league footage. Now, some of the replays you've seen in the past, some of the one-off matches have been derived from competitive leagues, but as you know, there is a learning curve associated with commentating while playing at the same time. And for that reason, for the live stuff, I've been sticking mostly to friendly leagues, but I wanted to bring you a video today, and this is the first time I've had free time in the last several days. Since Sunday morning, in fact, when I recorded my tourney practice lobby league. And, you know, I was like, well, I kind of want to play a full competitive league and then do a replay, but I don't necessarily have time for that today. So do I just do another friendly league? And I was like, no, you know what? Trial by fire. Let's do the competitive league while live recording and see how we do. We've been doing very well in the friendly leagues, and this is the same list we've been playing. Dark Confidant, Golgari, 1 Nile Spellbomb main. Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do. We are going to be on the draw. And we've got a fairly solid hand. I'm certainly going to keep it. I have seen better hands, but looks like we might be up against Storm if I had to guess. So we're going to need the game log. We also want to see what they did with their scry, and they bottomed off of the scry. So, okay, it's definitely Thoughtseize time. Since we have a Bob, I think we just want to swamp here, just in case. Alright, so the opponent's got a second land, they've got a Baral, they've got Ritual, Ritual Opt, huh? Well, interesting. I think I like taking the Baral here even though we have answers to him, because that lets us play Bob next turn, and I think that's what we need to do with this hand. Or Tarmogoyf, depending, but either way, I kind of like that. Certainly just very much interested in playing a threat on my turn, too. Tarmogoyf is obviously the clock, but with how good our hand is, there is a consideration for playing Bob as well. Nile Spellbomb's a good draw. That's one that makes me want to play the Bob even more, but you know what? I think it's just correct to play the Goyf here. Want to make sure we get this thing down under a remand or what have you. Alright, so we found a forest, which is not a particularly exciting land, but I will take it. Alright, so we know they have 2 rituals, they have 2 unknowns in hand, we have sorcery, land, instant creature in the yard. Alright, we'll begin with an attack. Okay, so the big question is, can we take a turn off of interacting, go shields down to play the Bob? And I think if we go Spellbomb into Bob, we can. Or perhaps Bob into Spellbomb, as the case may be. I'd almost rather have them remand this than the Spellbomb at this particular juncture. I get to opt a couple times. Yep, there goes the Bob, sure. Alright, so they might not have all that much in hand. They definitely still have 2 rituals plus 1 unknown. I guess I'm still interested in a collective brutality here, though. Big problem with that is it puts us shields down with Fatal Push and Spellbomb and some other things, but, you know, I still think that's alright. And I think I like all the rest of these cards enough not to escalate, so we'll just spot check the hand here. Yeah, we'll take the cantrip. There was an argument for using Field of Ruin there, but giving them access to an extra mana that turn I didn't think was quite worth it. It also made them think twice before reacting to the collective brutality, whereas if we had played the field, activated it, then we would be tapping out for the brutality, we would be giving them perfect information. So, as much as it would have been nice to fix our mana with the field there, didn't think it was quite worth doing. Tarmogoyf. I don't mind that, that's for sure. Alright. Don't know if there's a way for our opponent to really beat this main deck since we have the Nile Spellbomb. They're fairly dependent on the graveyard to combo off game 1. Almost always. I guess their best draw is probably Gifts Ungiven, which is typically their best draw with enough mana to make it good. But the usual gifts pile might not cut it at this particular juncture. Alright, they get to dig 2 cards deeper with Sleight of Hand. And that'll do it. Alright, so we took down Storm game 1. That is definitely where we want to be. It's a matchup that can certainly go either way. I never feel all that unfavored against a a combo deck, especially if it's not a big mana combo deck, you know, if you will, like Titan Shift, for example. So, you know, your more traditional combo decks, I think we've got a lot of game against them, but how to sideboard, as you've heard me say multiple times before, if you've been watching this channel, is a bit tricky. So we don't really like this 2-mana utility removal slot, especially Trophy is bad. But Decay can basically go until we see something that makes us want it as well. Liliana the Last Hope is also quite mediocre here. We could consider moving away from a couple Tireless Trackers, a Kalitas as well. These are cards that are just quite slow, and the value they bring is not the axis on which we usually need to compete. So, to bring in, I do like Grafdigger's Cage, Spellbomb, Explosives, Pulse. We'll at least consider, I guess, all 5 of those. Again, we can't necessarily afford to go too heavy on the Graveyard Hate, because they do pivot often to an Empty the Warrens plan, but we do want the Collective Brutality. And I think I'm semi-interested in the Choke. If we didn't play it, though, that would put us right at 60. So, how do we feel about that? I don't think there's anything else we really want. Oh, Surgical Extraction. I stand corrected. We do want the Surgical. So, what if we want Surgical and Choke? We cut a Kalitas, we cut a Tracker. How are we looking here? Pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, in the past I've maybe said, oh, you know, we don't quite need every piece of Graveyard Hate, but, you know, the more I play the matchup, the more I'm, like, fairly happy to bring it all in. Again, depending on your 75, depending on your threat suite. I think cutting a Kalitas and cutting 1 Tracker is perfectly justifiable. So let's do it. See what we can do. See what we can do here. Game 2 on the draw. With an interesting hand. No hand disruption is very, very poor. The Field of Ruin is also potentially awkward, but I think this is a keep anyway. We don't really have any sideboard cards either, except this Maelstrom Pulse, which is, of course, 1 main, 1 side, but... Ooh, Nile Spellbomb, huh? So do we hold up push or do we deploy Spellbomb? I think we deploy Spellbomb. You know, maybe that's just wrong. Because they're not going to go off with the graveyard for a little while yet, and we, just like last game, we really want to tap out on turn 2 for either Tarmogoyf or Dark Confidant. So I'm making the executive decision to hold up Fatal Push here, in the active hope that they play a Mana Bear into it. But it doesn't look like they will, so I am punished for that decision. Another Field of Ruin. Not great. I think I want Bob. Okay. Not entirely unexpected in game 2 for a Confidant to bite the dust. Pieces of the puzzle is a rough one. They get to choose between... Oh, looks like they took both opts. Alright. Blooming Marsh is a fine draw. Fine draw. So I guess it is... Now I want Goyf into Spellbomb. And we'll pass. So Bob had arguably a higher upside than Tarmogoyf if he lived, and definitely, ooh, see, this is something that might make me want Abrupt Decay. Pyromancer Ascension. It has the same name as a card in your graveyard, so once they start, you know, they can For example, if they had if they had 2 or more quest counters, they could copy their second opt after they cast the first one. So that's kind of cool, but our Spellbomb's good against it. Ooh, Liliana's a good one, too. So one consideration here is just Liliana, Field of Ruin, but basically Liliana, and then nothing's just holding up Spellbomb. Another consideration is Field of Ruin into Scavenging Ooze holding up Spellbomb or Fatal Push or Ooze activation. We could also Maelstrom Pulse that Ascension, but I don't think we care about it quite yet. So I guess let's attack first. So I'm really not certain about this Liliana, to be honest, guys. Like, it's obviously a really high value play, but yeah, I kind of think Scavenging Ooze is the play here. It lets us hold up all the stuff that's really important, and I don't really want to pitch anything out of my hand with Liliana. They're also kind of representing Remand here as well. So I'm going to go for the Skoos. Both Skoos and Spellbomb let us play really well around the Ascension. This could increase the clock by a turn or so as well. We get to hold up Fatal Push, which is definitely something we want to do when we can. Yep, so this is a cast trigger. You got it. So I kind of... I think I kind of want to blow the graveyard away now. Just to slow down the Pyromancer Ascension train. I think I'm going to do that. I'm not at risk of them comboing off using the graveyard right now. So that's what I'll do. Should have done that on the end step, but for some reason, if you... Okay, they're going to try to go off right now. Yeah, if you, like, let an ability resolve on the end step, and then it doesn't give you priority back, it seems this has happened to me now a couple times. I need to investigate that. Yeah, so we're punished for that aspect of things because now they did get their second counter, and that's not great for us, but we may also just be able to... Oof, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, that's awful. And then, yeah. Oh, we got punished so hard for that. Like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't receive priority back on the end step there. Because we didn't want to pop it in response to opt, because then they still have their opt in the graveyard. So if anyone can enlighten me, I would appreciate it, but we just got blown out pretty badly by that. Anyway, I think we just have to take care of the Pyromancer's Ascension now. I guess it's just too much value, and now that we can have a double spell turn, I'm pretty happy to do that. But the way this game has unfolded, we were in a very strong position, or at least a reasonably strong position. Now we're in a much less desirable position, thanks to that. Now, of course, they still had to have a Pyretic Ritual in hand, I guess, to really get their value there. Alright, Ritual into Bolt into Empty. Oh boy, okay. Right after we spend our Maelstrom Pulse. Sure, you got it. Well, not looking great for us, not looking great, but alright, so I'm going to be taking 7. If I push one of these, I'll be taking 6. And does that appreciably matter? I think it might. I think I do want the push here on one of these, but let's assign our block first, I guess. It's certainly not a very good use case, but that's where we're at. If we're able to stabilize with another creature into Liliana, you know, at least semi-stabilize, it could become relevant to have taken down a goblin early. So you wonder if this Monomorphose means they're on the dig, or they have something that they're actively working toward already in hand. Grape Shot. Yeah. Okay. Tarmogoyf is a good one, and we're going to play it. Play it first in case of remand. They don't have remand. Okay. So, if we don't Edict to Goblin, they turn them all sideways. We take 5. We take... Yeah. Yeah, I think we just Edict to Goblin and try to stay alive on board. I don't trust our ability to live through these goblins. In a post-side game with lightning bolts around and stuff, as bad as that seems and as bad as that was in some ways. Yeah, see, they're all coming right at us. They don't care about the Lily. So I think, like, edicting and pushing a goblin here and there is correct, as underwhelming as that was. The fact that they're casting a ritual is... okay, more goblins. More goblins. Well, we are just dead on board. Let's get a little info. Okay. Ignite Memories. That's some info I'm glad I have. Target player reveals a card at random from their hand. Ignite Memories deals damage to that player equal to that card's converted mana cost. Storm. Well, that is fair. That is fair enough. All right. So yeah, if we had received priority back on that end step and then hit the spell bomb there like we wanted to, who knows how different that could have been. That's a bit frustrating. Otherwise, they had quite a decent progression, and to be fair, so did we. But that Empty the Warrens, immediately on the heels of us having to spend our Maelstrom Pulse, was certainly not great. That feels like a game where we could have taken a couple different lines, and, you know, for example, an earlier Liliana is something that might have made the game play out a little bit differently, but let's focus on winning this game 3, and the hand's fairly clunky, but it's good, it's powerful, we're going to keep it. They're going to go top. All right. Little frightening, to be honest, but hey. Okay, another land is pretty good. So if this was anything but a Scavenging Ooze, I would Windmill Slam it, if it was any of our other 2-drops. The fact that it is a Scooze, and it's a little bit of an underwhelming clock, means I'm considering playing a Brutality instead, partially so I can clear out Lightning Bolts to let it survive. But I don't think that's really where we want to be. I think we do just play out our threat. I'll get a Swamp here to respect the life total a bit, knowing I have another fetch land in hand to follow it up. And, you know, this is mana efficient enough where next turn, if it lives, we can, if we have nothing better to do, we can Brutality and eat something. You know, we'll get our value out of the Scooze if it lives with the way our curve is looking. But will it live? A Sanction. So, as much as Ascension got us pretty good last game, I think we're supposed to ignore it here. I think we're supposed to save our Maelstrom Pulse, because with the help of Scavenging Ooze, we can hopefully keep them off of casting things that are duplicates of stuff in their graveyard. So, that's my read. I'm gonna at least start off with that in mind. Let's Brutality you. So they have 2 Lightning Bolts and an Abrade. Sleight of Hand, Empty the Warrens. Yikes. Major yikes. Okay, well, none of this is very good for us. That is for sure. So if we... I mean, the Ooze, we can't keep the Ooze alive no matter what. No matter what, we cannot keep the Ooze alive. Maybe we just take Empty the Warrens and plan to Pulse Pyromancer Ascension and try to take win conditions away, I guess. So, Bolt into Sleight of Hand. Here's that Shivan Reef. Ooh, another Sleight of Hand, yep. Inquisition. Alright, we're going to clearly lead on that. They have a gifts. Okay. Okay, they have a gifts. We are going to take the gifts with our collective brutality, so with that in mind, maybe we still take the ritual, because they are somewhat gated by mana right now. That's bad if we, you know, bad for the prospect of our threats living, but I think that's what we want to do. And I think we... Let's see. Yep, I think we just kind of have to hit this now. Spellbomb you. Draw a card. Okay, Inquisition is potentially going to be good. Another Inquisition, sure. So it's either going to be Inquisition Pulse or Inquisition Inquisition. Alright, we'll take the bolt. I think we want to Inquisition again here. And... ooh, we'll take... yeah, we'll keep gating their mana, I suppose. If I ever find like a Dark Confidant, I'm going to be punished for that decision, but... I think we hold these cards for one turn. I might pulse this Ascension next turn, if I don't have anything better to do. Especially now that they're making more land drops, I think I should. Yeah. Yeah, let's pulse it. The longer the game goes on, the more likely it is that they'll be able to just put together a bunch of value all on one turn before Maelstrom Pulse has anything to say or do about it. We need a threat, guys. We need a threat. But at least Thoughtseize is a good one. Well, now they've got all the mana. So now I'm going to take a Braid and hope to really draw a threat. I'm sandbagging this Twilight Mire because we do still have, I believe, 2 Tireless Trackers in the deck. Scoos. Alrighty. So there is only one creature to eat. That being my other Scoos. I mean, there's no real reason not to main phase this, right? And yeah, we'll eat the other Scoos. Try to leave that Pyromancer Ascension in there if we can, because it will grow Tarmogoyf. Once again, I'm going to main phase at least some of this Scoos action. Oh, whoops, I ate the Ascension. I misclicked. So we'll eat the Abrade. It's no big deal. Okay, Lily. Pitch the push. Ooh, they had another ritual in hand. Yeah, they're just flooding out. So one step we're going to fetch. Grab a forest, eat the ritual. Alright. Play a Goyf. If we can. We can. Oh, an island in hand, yikes. Okay, we are getting pretty lucky here with their bricks, I must say. They're bricking quite hard. And they're dead on board. So they better have something good here. Serum Visions is a start, potentially. They go one top, one bottom. Okay. They Serum again into whatever was on top. Sleight of Hand was on top. Well, the dig is real. And what do they have now? Monomorphose, the dig. And they still have rituals in hand, so remember, they've got some mana. They don't have enough, though, or they didn't have gas at the end of all that. Well, my friends. I think it's safe to say we escaped with that game 3. I think we made pretty much the right decisions with our discard spells, of which we had many. But we really lacked the ability to stick a threat. We had an early Scooze, which was just facing down 3 different ways to kill it with Double Bolt and Abrade, so we couldn't protect that. It went down early. As time went on, we found another Scooze. It still was only a 3/3, not the biggest clock in the world, still dead to a top-decked Abrade and Lightning Bolt, but we rode the Ooze to a lot of value. Then we found a Tarmogoyf, which was almost surplus to requirements by the end of the game. Like, it increased the clock by a turn, but no more than that. Liliana along the way was definitely not bad either. But, you know, we had lots of really good disruption, but our clock was so slow. Turn 12 kill. Turn 12 kill. That's not where we want to be. That's very bad for us. But it was still good enough here because they flooded out very hard. They flooded out on mana, and they flooded out on rituals. And that proved to be enough. So I think we played pretty well Game 1 and Game 3. Game 2 is the one that maybe got away. But again, I think my lines were at least fairly justifiable if you assume that you're going to have the chance to receive priority again on that end step. But as it turns out, we didn't get priority back on the end step after we let their second opt resolve. Then, you know, it went straight to the upkeep. They got to untap. That's when we fired off our spell bomb. They had the untapped mana to cast a Pyretic Ritual in response, and it got very bad from there because they got the double Abrade turn that, you know, the first Abrade, you know, nothing hit the graveyard yet, so they killed the Tarmogoyf, and then the second one killed the Ooze. It was just completely horrible for us, and I really think none of that would have happened, at least nowhere near as badly, if we'd been able to simply spellbomb on the end step like I think we were supposed to. So, once more, I'll issue a plea, you know, if anybody knows why I didn't receive priority there. Maybe I'm missing something obvious, but yeah, I expected to receive priority. I didn't, and it all went downhill from there. That said, you know, maybe we still could have taken a different line, like playing the Liliana earlier that game. I don't know. I will need to go back and watch again. But either way, Game 1, we had a pretty classic disruption into quick clock with the Tarmogoyf. Game 2, we had a couple murky spots in the mid-game. partially to do with decisions and partially to do with the wonderful, super intuitive interface of MTGO, and of course partially to do with the opponent having a really good percussion and playing really well. Not taking anything away from that. And then game 3, we bricked on being able to find a threat that could stick, and they bricked on any action whatsoever once we hit the mid-game. So the fact that we had an anemic threat, you know, that proved to be enough if both players are kind of lacking. The person with the 3-3, I guess, is the one who's going to put the game away. So we'll take it. We'll take it. We got game 1 and game 3 against Storm to take us to a nice 1-0 start and our first ever live recorded competitive leagues. So it's great to be back in the competitive leagues. It's great to be back in the leagues in general, recording live. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope we are able to manage to put up as good of results in this competitive league as we have been in the friendlies. If you haven't heard me say this before, I spoke on MTG Salvation forums to a dedicated Tron grinder who has got thousands of matches under his belt in the leagues with Tron, both friendly and competitive. He records everything, he tracks all of his results, and he experiences only a 6% win rate differential between friendly leagues and competitive. So if my win rate is 50-50 in competitive, you could expect it to go up to 50% in friendly. My win rate in friendly has been much higher, but it's been a pretty small sample size as well, to be fair, in terms of what I've done since I switched to the Confidant build. But anyway, there's every reason for us to be optimistic about our results here, especially because we started off with a 1-0. So let's go ahead and leave it there. As always, everybody, I thank you very much for watching the channel, for liking, sharing, subscribing, as I know you're doing, and especially to my patrons, thank you so much for your support. I couldn't be doing what I'm doing without you, that is for sure. So thanks again to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned to the channel. We're going to play the rest of these league matches over the course of the next couple days, and I hope to see you for the next video. Until then, take it easy and have a great day.